Hey, what's up, fam? Welcome to another episode of the HODL. Today, we're going to talk about a news event and what we think the long term impact of it will be. Button, before we jump in, how are you doing this morning?
I'm great, my friend. I'm very excited to do this discussion. Joe and I both got into NFTs through art, and a lot of these artists we're huge fans of, and we're excited to see how this moves Web3 along. So, yes, let's get into the article, Cucho. I'm excited for you to share it with our friends.
Yes, like I was super hyped when I saw these news coming out. And what it is that the MoMA is going to liquidate 70 million of their art, and likely this liquidity will actually flow into digital art being purchased as NFTs. I mean, this is amazing. I think this is like a great news event for like the whole space. I mean, just looking back 2 years ago, button just when we entered the NFT space, really nobody cared, or not that many people, cared about like collecting digital art. And 2 years later, being at this point where actually the MoMA is likely to going to purchase and display digital art. I mean, it's just a long way that we've come. And so, what we want to focus on today is to talk about our predictions around what we think some of the artists might be that the MoMA is going to look to purchase and display their art at the MoMA. So, Button, why don't you start and talk about this first artist that you're betting on?
Absolutely. Well, first off, like the list that you and I compiled is primarily based on a lot of their previous history, and they actually are doing things as artists that are meaningful and substantial. And I have to say, I love Refik Anadol. He is a data scientist. He is held a position at UCLA for teaching people about how to take data and convert it into beautiful pieces of art. He's from Turkey, and he has really provided this amazing connection to digital art that I've never seen before. So if we go to like his website, you'll see that his art pieces, they look a bit abstract when you first look at them. But once you understand the complexity of how they were put together, how they were made, and what data sets he used to piece them together, it really becomes a beautiful story. So most recently, he partnered with SpaceX to create an NFT collection that utilized the data from one of their recent trips into outer space that captured their heartbeat, their voice, their text, and they took all those data pieces and found where the connections were to put together a beautiful art piece that was basically essentially like a graph that showed all the different connections from the words that were said, the heart rate, and in which that would they were feeling as when they took off on the spaceship, and it put together a beautiful piece. He's also done pieces with Google to take large sets of data to condense them into AI pieces, and he's one of my favorites. He's had a piece recently sell at Christie's for $1.3 million, and therefore I think he could have some one of one pieces that would be worthy of being put in the collection with the real art in the museum.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing more about Rafik. The next one we have in mind is Fewocious. Fewocious is a super young artist. He's just like 19 years old. And yeah, he's been creating art already for a very long time. He has had a pretty difficult childhood, and used art really as an outlet, to process his emotions and to visualize them. And I mean, he's had a meteoric rise really in the NFT space, and at this point, he's definitely one of the most established artists in the NFT space. He's already had auctions with many traditional auction houses like Christie's and Sotheby's, and yeah, I think he's definitely one that probably will be top of mind for the MoMA, since he's so established. And also his art style is like very, he has this very distinct art style. Like, I think you recognize, like, amongst 1,000 pieces, if you know his art, you're definitely going to recognize like the piece that's by Fewocious, even out of 1,000 pieces. So I think he definitely would be one that's top of mind for them. And then next we got XCOPY button.
Yeah.
Tell us
Well,
more about XCOPY.
speaking of what you're saying, when you see Fewocious' art, you know it's his art. When you see an XCOPY, you know it's an XCOPY. XCOPY is a digital artist that focuses on glitch art. And as you can see, all those pieces that Kucho has on his screen are little glitching ones, and they flash really quick. They're intriguing. And he has had an incredible story where he was struggling. He was a struggling artist. We don't know who he is. He's completely anon, but he was struggling to just sell some of his pieces for like $12-15, and all of a sudden it starts getting attention and recognizing that this guy really has some talent in creating this unique, fascinating art that's mesmerizing. And all of a sudden you're seeing his pieces go for six figures. One of his most famous pieces is called right click and save as Guy, and that piece sold for $7 million on December 9th, 2021. And if you got pieces that are selling for that price, I think big house museums are definitely interested in having some of those pieces up on display to allow people to appreciate them in public.
Awesome. Yeah, and the artists we talked about so far, these are all, I think, artists that are digital native, so that
Yep.
embrace like right away the digital medium. But something that we also think is that there are also artists that are more traditional artists, but that are embracing digital art as a new medium. And so I think this is another possibility for the MoMA, to look at some of these artists and their artworks and maybe start displaying that. And one of the biggest examples for these types of artists is Nina Chanel. She already has pieces at some of the most known museums all over the world, but she's also someone that is embracing NFTs. And actually, more recently, she launched the Nina Super Cool World as a collection. And then also she's part of like the Goda. It's called the Goda collective, and they actually support more traditional artists in embracing digital art as a new medium. And so seeing her as one of a pioneer that really takes that bridge from more the traditional art to actually the digital art and embraces that new medium, I think she's definitely one that they might consider. And there are some other examples. We see more and more contemporary artists like James Jean, for example. Takashi Murakami is another example. So these are artists that already have, some of their art actually displayed at these museums, but now, embracing digital art as a new medium. That could be some artworks that the MoMA might display in the future. I would be super pumped to see that. And then we
Absolutely.
got the last one, the one that's really, one of the spearheads in the NFT space, Beeple. Button, tell us more about Beeple.
Absolutely. Perhaps this one was the most obvious one, considering Beeple really helped get the term non fungible token on the map for the world to appreciate. And that's primarily because he sold one of his pieces for approximately $69 million through a Christie's auction, which sold to an individual out of Singapore called Metacoven. And Beeple was famous for making digital art, but until NFTs, he wasn't able to capitalize on that digital art from a sales point. And so now that you can have a token that shows exactly who owns that digital art, it's okay if people right click save it, but do you own it becomes the question. And because he's done so well with that piece and his overall collection, which entails multiple one of ones or limited edition pieces, because he's been doing one art piece every single day for quite some time now. He's got quite a collection of art that he has tokenized. I am quite confident that if MoMA is looking to purchase some non-fungible tokens to display at their museum, Beeple will have to be one of them that is on the list. And they have quite a variety of options of which ones they could choose for him. and I'm looking forward to seeing which ones end up being on those walls. And I can't wait to visit them with you, Kucho.
Yeah, so these are our guesses. If you have other guesses, curious to hear, please put them in the comments below. Really curious to hear who you think the MoMA might display. I think overall, I'm just really pumped about these news. I think it's something that's not going to play out tomorrow, but I think it's something that in the long term is very positive for the NFT space. I also think it's going to bring in more traditional art collectors into the digital realm, and maybe having some of them to start collect more digital art. So couldn't be more excited about it. Button, any closing words from you?
I'm excited. I think we're in this space at an optimal time to see this all come together. Every day we're hearing a little bit of news that takes us one step forward, and this was definitely one piece of news that got me and you very excited that we wanted to share with our friends. So grateful to make this video with you all. If you get a chance, feel free to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you next time. Appreciate you all, HODL fam. Adios.